Top TV, Truth of the People.
Hello guys and welcome to Top TV Kenya. You're watching the lifestyle show with me, Sophie Achieng. Have you ever heard of the cliche or the statement, life begins at 40? Oftentimes I've come across people who say that maisha huanza wakati mtu anapofika miaka 40. And I've always wondered, what does it mean? Does it mean that people start living or people begin to live their lives or realize themselves when they hit the age of 40? Well, I don't want to keep on guessing. I don't want to keep on thinking. I want to get to the bottom of this statement to help me understand or to help me have a more clear meaning of this, if at all. There are two people with me today, two gentlemen who are going to be discussing with me what life at 40 means. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Please, karibuni sana kwenye kipindi.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Daniel Sirengo, and I'm glad to be here.
You're most welcome, Daniel.
Yes.
And you, gentlemen?
Yeah, my name is Jonathan Waweru, and I'm happy to be part of this conversation.
Very much welcome. Please feel at home. Karibuni sana. So, Mr. Sirengo,
yes.
Life begins at 40. Have you ever heard somebody saying that?
Well, since time immemorial, since at least I learned to listen and understand some English, this is a statement I've grown up hearing more often than not.
So you're acquainted with it?
I'm acquainted with it. And this makes me wonder, because just how does life begin at 40 when somebody has been living for all these years?
Beats me, because for all I know is that life begins at conception.
Well, what I want I always try so hard to understand. Maybe whatever they are aiming at making an intuition with regards to life begins at 40 is the fact that maybe that is when somebody has to now get deeper and basically into investments and organizing of the future life, maybe for the generation that he intends to leave behind. By saying so, I mean the children and the grandchildren.
The dependents, the family members.
Yes.
Okay. So in other words, what you mean is when somebody says that life begins at 40, it's all about maybe, okay, in terms of this person is referring to either the development part of it or the indulgence part of it, things to do with the...
mostly the development part of it.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, whoever came up with this statement, maybe he had tried so many things right away from the time he was young, maybe first year, when he was 10 years old. But when he attained 40 years, that is when
that's when things started going for him.
That is when he had his first breakthrough. And maybe, according to him, his life had now begun while he was at 40. But in real sense, you know, life is something that is continuous. You know, whatever you're doing today at 20 years, greatly determines whatever you become in the next 10 years, maybe at 30. So if you have been lazing around for the past 39 years with an intention to begin living at 40 years, believe me, you'll have fooled yourself.
You actually realize that it ends.
What if you see, with the current life expectancy, what if you end up living 45 years on earth and you began your life at 40? So you only had 5 years of positive, of benefiting humanity positively.
5 years of achievement, maybe.
Yes, maybe the 40 years we just went on a waste. Yes.
Okay. Jonathan, sorry. What do you have to say about it?
Well, just as Sirengo has highlighted, life begins at 40.
Okay.
I don't know how to approach this, but the person who came up with that notion had his or her own experiences. And it might not work for me, it might not work for you. But what I know is that when you say life begins at 40, that's just some figurative language.
Okay, so it's metaphorical
It's,
sort of.
yeah, it's not at 40 years. No. But it's a certain stage. You see, at 40 years, if I am a man at my age of 40, maybe I'll probably be at the peak of my fatherhood. Sindio? So most people at 40, they have children, and your watoto wamemaliza
Kusoma labda nini.
wameondoka nyumbani kidogo.
Okay.
Now you have started like building, doing stuff. Hiyo ndio wakati even marriages either zinakuwa strong ama zina break at 40. That's where life takes another turn.
Okay.
That's why maybe alisema life begins at 40. But something Sirengo has said that what you are doing today will influence what will happen
Years to come.
So when you say life begins at 40, I think to me it does not make sense because I think it begins right now. Because if today if I was to go to take a certain route that will lead me somewhere in the next 20 years, but I decide not to do it, I'll go another different route and I'll end up in another destination. So I think my life starts at where I want it to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe also to add on what my colleague has said,
Yeah.
I think this is also a statement that was brought forth at least to comfort and console these people who have been really struggling so hard over a bustle of years. Then all of a sudden, they just find themselves at 40 and they haven't accomplished anything. So I think it is a motivation to them.
Okay.
Look, you are at 40 and
There's
you
still
can
hope.
start over. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Because why would I want to start my life at 40?
Sure.
Why not 25?
By they come to think of it.
If I've been making a lot of mistakes, then tell me maybe I have a second chance at 40 years. Because truth be told, if I'm waiting till 40 so that I can start my life, or I'm not doing things right now because I know when I get to 40 years, I will be at the peak of my manhood and everything. So I will do now something, or I will now start life.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't enjoy myself right now because I will.
Do it when you attain the age of 40.
Why not do it right now?
And then again, nobody really has the guarantee for the future.
Sure.
Like you're not even sure, like he has said, that you may even reach the age of 40, or you could just go a few years past the age of 40. So, okay, okay. So now, on my own point of view, like every time I've had or I hear that statement, usually what comes into my mind is maybe what this person meant, he or she meant was that maybe when you attain the age of 40 as a man, because for women it's actually considered the opposite. I don't know if I'm wrong, people will correct me, but for women usually we have what is called the biological, okay, you know about the biological clock that seems to be spiraling downwards the moment a woman attains probably wagenesemekana at the age of 30 onwards. So the moment a woman gets to age 30 and maybe tuseme maybe hajapata watoto ama maybe hajaoleka, always kuna kuanga na hiyo, there's that ish like, you know, the panic set. So I think this is particularly or mostly for men that their lives begins at 40. So maybe we're going to try and, you know, like camp around men for that particular reason. So in my point of view, like when I hear that statement, what usually comes through my mind is maybe this person meant that at the age of 40, let's say a man specifically, who maybe spent his entire youth and you know, those growing up ages not having done things like kukunywa pombe, maybe they never smoked, they never like dated like several girls, you know, the way unajua tu mambo na vijana. So when they reach that age of 40, regardless of whether they are married or not, they certainly realize that, hey, I'm 40 and you only, like people like to say, though I don't agree, you only have one life to live. So they're like, nimefika age 40, sijawahi kunywa pombe, sijawahi fanya hizi vitu zote. So in order
So
not
it's
to
time
do
to
these things, yeah,
experience.
I also need to like fit in. I need to know how it feels like kukuja nyumbani kama nimelewa, roaring like a lion. Nikifika kwa nyumba bibi anajua mzee amefika. So
Yeah.
it's maybe they want to experiment these things and know how it feels like, know how it's like to be, you know, those things that they never had the chance, or maybe by choice they decided not to do.
Okay, look at it this way. In our current generation right now, most people are not hitting 50 or even 60.
Okay, according to statistics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most
You
people
mean
are
people
not.
are dying that early?
Yeah.
You're scaring me.
So
Please don't be scared.
life is starting very early. Higher. Come to look at it also this way. Most men and also most women right now who are at our age,
Okay.
mid-20s, they want to get married at their 30s. Sindio? And others get their wives wakiwa 35.
Yeah.
How will that 40 be my target point?
Because
When
if you get
juu
married-
kama nimeoa 5 years ago, I won't say life will begin at 40. I've been doing
looking
life.
at it the way you're
I've
saying
been doing
it.
life since 18 years.
The way you're saying it, umeoa, you're getting married when you're 30
Yes.
or
You
35,
cannot say
and
life
you're saying
will
that you
begin.
hardly get to 50. So maybe you
Yes.
have something like 10 or less years to...
You
Wow.
cannot live 50 years and just enjoy those 10. No. But again, unaangalia the things that maybe you want to achieve, or the plans you have, or the things you've been through. Life will begin at 40, life will begin at 20, life will begin at 10. Someone who is a street child out there, his life or her life started at 10 years or even 2 years.
Because of the
He
struggle.
has been through so much.
Yeah.
By the time he's hitting 20, it's like me who is 40 years. We've been through the same
Yeah.
nini. So unapata saying that life begins at 40, it's maybe it only applies to an individual. It depends. That's why I said 40 is just a
It's
figure.
figurative.
Yeah, it's just something. Because you never know, ni kama vile tunasemanga siku za mwezi ni 40.
40,
It's
yeah.
not 40.
They are never caught like
Yeah, it's
exactly
not
the
40. It
40th
just
day.
means that
There's
we are
much more to
numbered.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just there's a certain point inafika ni unaona yenyewe life has begun. You see, like something happens to you, your family, maybe you lose someone mwenye ulikuwa unadependia, maybe you are married and you lose your spouse, your life begins. Inaweza anza tukiwa 50. You now lose your source of income. Your life begins now.
So it is that point of realization
Yes.
that now you need to like stand on your 2 feet and take
Now you
control
are
of a
taking another
situation.
turn now.
It doesn't matter what time it happens. It could happen to you when you are 20, when you
Ni
are
kama
30, when you
vile
are 40.
COVID iliingia. Most lives began now. Because most people ukiangalia kama kwanza kama kwa sector ya tourism na hao watu wanafanya kwa restaurants and stuff,
Yeah.
their life began.
Because a
Your
disaster
time,
struck.
because they were
different
free-
twist.
because they have been, maybe maybe your dad has been working in that sector for the last
30 years.
30 years. That's the only
Source of income, you know.
And then he's laid down. Na wewe pia alikuingiza huko mko nyumbani. Now that is where your life starts.
Reality sets in.
Oh, I like that.
That's
And also maybe listening from what you had given as your sentiments, I'm happy you mentioned that maybe it's from the man's perspective.
Yeah.
But I'm happy also because you're not a man and you'll never know
Exactly
that
what-
perspective per se. What do I mean? There is a Spanish doctor who also happens to be a philosopher by the name Daniel Amends. He says at the age of 18, you probably feel like the whole world is literally looking at you. Now,
You're
when
the
you,
center of attraction.
yes, you know, anything you're putting on, you're like, will it be captivating to the world? But by the time you reach 40, you realize very few people are looking at you. Now, the irony is when you hit 60, that's when you realize nobody was looking at you.
At all.
at all. You have been yourself.
Deluding yourself.
Just been worried for nothing.
So the aspect of life beginning at 40 still trickles down to that point where we want to understand it this way. This is a person who is inspired by the achievement he or she made at 40.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think that makes sense. I think it makes sense. So we don't need to assume, like, when we see people at the prime ages, maybe let's say maybe a man who alikuwa anavaa tu vizuri kiheshima nini, then all of a sudden anakuja kwa nyumba ni jamaa mkubwa amevaa vipuli, you know, putting on gold stuff and, you know, this true yo stuff, and is actually a family person. So we do not equate that to the statement life beginning at 40. It is simply somebody deciding that maybe tu ameamua kufanya hivyo, but it is not because of that particular statement.
I think you'd rather equate these two. You see, at 40, you do not now get into some other indulgences, like you being affected by the peer pressure. This is where now you'd rather equate it to somebody now chunking all the dream that he has down into serious business. I've been drinking, now I need to stop drinking. I need to cut the number of bottles per day, and maybe perhaps think about buying some shares elsewhere. You get?
Okay.
Some serious stuff.
Okay, I have finally come to discover that it's not necessary that life begins at 40. Like my guest, Jonathan, has said, it may as well just be a cliche or just a statement. And I would like to invite you for the parting shots at least. I'll start with you, Sirengo.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And what I would really like to tell the viewer out there is that your life is your business. And life does not really need to start at 40. Today, you're living, and your tomorrow depends solely upon whatever you're doing today. So make right decisions that will propel you into the right future. That's all I can say. Thank you for making time.
Okay, and you, Jonathan?
Well, what I can tell the viewer is that you should not be intimidated, or you feel threatened, or you feel like someone is ahead of you. Because when you see someone achieving something, you have to understand that everyone has his own time. Yes, we are of the same age with our peers and everything, but everyone has his own clock, and the time does not move the same. So when you see that my time has come, don't feel like you're not doing anything. Just know that you have to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, and when your time comes, you will achieve what you're supposed to achieve. So, yeah.
Well said, well said. Well, viewers, it's been quite an interesting show today, and I've really learned a lot. This has been the show Live Right, Stay Healthy with me, Sophie Achieng, here at Top TV. And my precious guest, I hope to invite you next time for a similar, show imekuwa moto sana.
I look forward to.
Yeah. So this has been Top TV, and until next week, I hope that you're going to have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and please keep it Top TV Kenya. Thank you.